Today's video, we're going to talk about advertising supplements on Facebook ads, Google ads, and Microsoft ads. How to get approved on these platforms. I'll tell you right away that each one of these individual ad platforms you absolutely can advertise supplements on. It's just harder than on one versus the other, and of which I'm going to explain the nuances of what it actually takes to get approved on each one of these platforms. On some of these ad platforms, they'll let you say more on your ad than they will on your landing page. They're really strict on the landing page, but not so much the ad. I know all of these things for a fact because I've marketed several supplements on each one of these platforms, and of which, just like you're going to need to do. Microsoft meaning Bing, or the Bing advertising, or Microsoft advertising platform that gets you on Microsoft Display Network and on Bing.com, of course. If you can make money on one, you should be plowing money, part of your profit, into the other ones once the rate in which you're able to increase the profit coming in from that platform starts to diminish. At our advertising agency, my job is always to figure out what's the next lowest hanging fruit to go after. You start out typically on Google or whatnot. Once we're not getting our 10-20% growth on that platform, it might certainly make sense to start immediately divert our attention over to Facebook. And then once that's going, maybe go back to Google, maybe it's going to Microsoft, whatever. But that's how you should be thinking how to promote your business. But not only that, in this particular space specifically, whether you're marketing CBD or it's vitamins, or whatever, you need to have these other platforms going for no other reason that if you are in this type of business, it's like playing a game of whack-a-mole. You're actually going to very often get your ads shut down, whereas what was acceptable today may not be necessarily acceptable tomorrow because each platform's rules change all the time, and it's getting more strict all the time. But not only that, how the review system works. You can actually make money today at $10 a day in an advertising budget on one platform. You get up to 100, you go to a different level of scrutiny. Instead of having an automated review, now you have a human review at $100 a day. The human is an Indian. You get to 1,000 a day, now you're going to get reviewed by an American who understands nuances and what certain things mean, because obviously English is our first language, and know when things cross the line a little bit easier. It's the same rules, it's just different people, or it's easier to get caught, if you will, even though you may not be trying to trick them. Just stuff that you shouldn't have been doing from the beginning. You don't get called out for it until later on. It's very common you'll make money on one, and then you won't be making money later, and then you have to take time out to get your ads, landing pages in compliance, then it'll get approved. You'll run it for a while, it'll get disapproved again. You're gonna have to go through the same thing again. And get in touch with support, ask them specifically what you have issues on, which a lot of times if you're not spending much money, you're not going to get even a human to reply, which is when it usually makes sense to reach out to an advertising agency because they have the clout with the advertising platforms that can actually get you the specific advice, because a lot of times they'll just disapprove you for clickbait or whatever, and that is very hard to track down what it is that you need to specifically change on your ad and landing page if you're in that instance and you don't have any experience running ads all the time as your full-time job. So just know, if you're going to get into marketing supplements, it can be super, super profitable because supplements obviously has a very large market. And when you find something that works, particularly when you run display ads and then you find something that's profitable, you can scale to the moon really quickly. I would never start a supplement company today just from the standpoint that things just keep getting more strict. One thing you'll find out about online advertising is when there's very little demand for that ad or ad space, they're very not strict about what you can do. As soon as there's more demand for that particular ad space, they get more and more strict. We're in a environment today, time of making this video is 2024, so it could certainly be more strict by the time you see this, that it's gotten super strict on all three of these platforms. So it's just hard to make money because it's easy to cross the line from approved to something that'll get you disapproved, and they're really checking stuff over because they know if you're not going to take the ad space, somebody else is waiting in line. Which is why if you get all three of these going, you should immediately be checking for places that isn't off the beaten path. Native advertising networks like Taboola, Outbrain, even though it's not as good because it's not as targeted, but if you're selling something that works for 1% of the population or more, or could help them, Taboola Outbrain can work because you don't need hyper level targeting or hyper targeting with your ads. You don't need to get in front of somebody that's already shown interest in exactly what you sell, because you can have a funnel where you say, hey, you can lose weight, see this weird trick, send them to a landing page that looks like an article and get people to convert that way, and have something that normally Taboola, they don't have a mass, not everybody wants on that platform because it doesn't convert very well for a lot of people, and have something that's more sticky or permanent because you found out a way to get something to work that other people couldn't get to work very easily. Then when you get that to work, there's all kinds of second and third tier ad networks out there like MCLAD, and there's just dozens of them out there, and just take part of your profit, invest it to the next thing. And the more of them you have, the more robust your business will be. One goes out, it's only 10% of your revenue, you got 9 other going. While you're trying to go through and work with the review department to get reapproved, it doesn't affect your business enough to where none of your staff have to be laid off or you go into the red, which is the position you actually want to be in. And don't say it won't happen to you, because it will. If you're selling supplements, it will. Take my word for it. But with that said, I'll get into each one of these ad platforms specifically, 3 main ones, that where the real big money comes from. And I shouldn't even say that, because on these native advertising networks, if you can get that to work by itself, you can make more money on all 3 of these combined. It scales a lot more, and you could get so many clicks off of Taboola even alone. It's not the end of the world if you can't get these to work for your particular product, which most of you guys will. 9 out of 10 of you guys selling a supplement can still use these platforms. Just as much opportunity on other platforms outside of this. And you can even do old school stuff, TV ads, magazine ads. Great thing about marketing and advertising is if people abandon something, that's the best time to do it. It's almost like stocks. You want to buy stocks when everybody says it's a horrible time to invest in stocks, because that's probably the bottom. The ad, if you're going to get approved on this platform at all, you can still get on if you word things carefully. You can't have any health benefits or claims in your ad at all. Okay? You can't say it makes you lose weight 20 pounds in 30 days. No specifics. You could say it has helped people lose weight before, or known to in the past to have weight loss benefits. Sometimes you can get that level of vagueness approved, but it depends on what you're doing. In the weight loss space specifically, which I shouldn't even give that example, you pretty much are screwed in terms of supplements altogether. And if you're going to market something that is supposedly supposed to lose weight, you need to go super rogue with it. That is, a movie star had lost a bunch of weight recently, which would be one way to go about doing this, and point the ad to a article on a news website that you control, and then have that news article explain what they're doing, and then have people from that article now go to your landing page, and even have it more insulated, have them make them Google it themselves. But even then you can still have problems. Just know, for the most part, the best thing I like to do is have a cartoon image to get around it, and have the cartoon image convey what it is that you're trying to convey. That is, it helps you grow taller, lose weight, whatever it's supposed to do, because through the imagery, you can convey what you need to convey, and you're not going to get caught up in the automated filters doing that. Now, if you try to run a campaign at $5,000 a day, you're going to get a human reviewer and it might get caught up eventually. Because you're not being totally explicit, a lot of times they'll just let that fly. That's the number one way you get around how to convey what it is that your product or that your supplement does without actually getting your ad disapproved. Beyond that, the landing page, though, with Facebook, ironically, is less strict. So you can actually say that product makes you lose weight on the landing page, or at least much more explicitly than you can say it on the ad. So they'll let you get away with more on the landing page than the ad, even though you can do before and afters on the landing page. Specifically, that is the one no-no that you can't do, or supposed to do, if you will. However, the workaround for that I found is form a group on Facebook and have a before and after, with the before showing somebody and then an after with a blurred out and a question mark on it, and drive them to the group where obviously your product has to work to do this, but drive them to the group where other people are using that supplement to lose weight, and that'll get approved. Why? Because you're driving them to Facebook itself, and it keeps them on Facebook, so they'll inadvertently let it slide. But if you're going to drive them to a landing page, keep it somewhat vague as well, even though you still can actually, generally speaking, say, this will make you lose weight and so forth, as long as your ad doesn't explicitly make any specific claims or promises. So no lose 30 pounds in 20 days, show somebody who in a cartoon that looks like they've lost weight without actually saying it, and then drive them to a landing page that talks about how a particular herb helps you lose weight and has been used for thousands of years, and then use that as a way to build demand for that herb and product that has that herb. Given if you're the only one that has a supplement with that herb in it, now you've got demand generation, and you've gotten around the system, so to say. Weight loss is super hard. If you're going to sell something that like a muscle building supplement that helps you build muscle, protein powder and stuff like that, it's going to be way less strict than anything to do with weight loss, because there's certain categories that are super hit by marketers. It's just harder to get stuff approved. So the more off the beaten path and the more unique of an offer it is, the more you're going to get away with. So whereas anything in weight loss, I basically almost would just not even bother with it anymore, even though you still use like the system I told you about to get around it. If you're doing something that, even will help you have hair that is not gray, help you regrow hair and not have it so much gray, you can get by with that type of thing because not many people are abusing an offer surrounding that, and you have a much higher chance to get approved at that point in time. But the group is the best way to get around it that I found. You could say, hey, look, these people are, they're getting their hair, it's not gray anymore, just check out the group. And then to go to the group, they have to fill out their phone number and email address, which then now you can put them into an email drip sequence and call them. They get to the group, they have the social proof there. It's a really good, effective funnel that will get something approved that you normally couldn't go and get approved by saying, hey, you're going to not have gray hair, and then drive them to a landing page that sells it on that. And at the very least, if you did go and market the product directly like that, your landing page would have to have specific links to scientific studies that prove that product works. And not even just with Facebook, since they're so strict, not even if your product that makes your hair less gray includes XYZ herb and you have a link on your landing page that shows why that herb works, it would have to be a link showing that your formulation as a whole works. That is where stuff like legit script itself and certification can come in handy, where you can get something certified that it contains, water and just this product, and then you can link to the 5 studies that show that herb works, and then you might, certainly be able to get things approved that way. Anyway, we'll kind of leave it to that. Now, Google is not so strict, okay? At least, and especially, should I say, Google Display Network. Google Display Network isn't strict because, going back to that principle I talked about before, nobody really wants to run ads on Google Display Network for the most part because it's full of bot traffic. 90% of Google Display Network traffic is bot traffic anymore. You can do remarketing and that works, and you can target specific niche websites and that works. But as a whole, if you're just blasting the world with your Google Display Network ads, most of the traffic is going to be bot traffic, okay? That's unfortunate. So therefore, the standards of, stuff that you couldn't get approved to run on YouTube itself will easily get approved on Google Display Network. So that could be one way for you to make things work. And if you had a hair coloration product like we were talking about before, you could actually get on, if there was a forum that talked about hair care and how to make your hair look youthful, not specifically color, have less gray, but more youthful, that general surrounding topic, you could run a banner ad using Google Display Network to get on that site. As long as they were running AdSense on that site, you could target that one website by itself. And because that one website doesn't get into doing bot traffic, because most of these websites are dipping into using bots to click their own ads to make more money, even big sites like Forbes.com, and I know because I've seen it and we've measured this before. But the smaller niche websites don't, and so that you can make money from Google Display Network. Problem is, though, the smaller niche websites like that have realized the value of their traffic, and they don't usually just run Google Display Network, or they don't have AdSense on their websites anymore, or it's just a small part of what they do. They sell ad space directly to their customers because it's real traffic and they know it converts, and therefore they can also make the most money that way. They can sell the ad space for more than what they can sell through Google Display Network, because if you sell your ad space through Google Display Network, because most people know most traffic is bot traffic, they're willing to pay so little per click, and here you are with real traffic, and because people usually don't scrutinize website by website what they should pay per click on each website, they aren't getting near what they should be getting for the level of traffic they have. So Anyway, with that said, if you are going to advertise on anything besides Google Display Network, for the most part, we're talking on YouTube or on Gmail, which is a great place to get traffic that's not full of bots. You can't have which are normally going to be done with demand gen campaigns. The other thing you can do is on Google Display Network, you can target YouTube as a placement. But if you're going to target Google properties, Gmail, YouTube, you can't have any health claims at all in your ad. So it's similar to Facebook, no health claims whatsoever. If you're talking about hair recoloration, going back to that example, you could say, are making claims that this product and this type of herb does work. It's not will make your hair more colorful in 30 days. Nothing specific, okay, at all. On top of that, the landing page can be more direct with Google. You can have before and afters as long as it's not in some really abused spaces like with weight loss. You can have before and afters with Google and get it approved via your landing page. You can't have before and afters on your ad, but on the landing page you can. Sometimes you'll need to link to studies on that landing page to get your campaign and ads approved. But most of the time you won't with Google. We had an EMF protection product one time. This is not supplements per se, but it, obviously it was a hardware solution. And in that case, we had a link to studies to get that approved. But conversely, we had a hair regrowth product, and we had a link to the scientific studies that show that worked. Otherwise, we couldn't do it at all. Not so much a supplement per se, but it was plasma, PRP, plasma-rich platelet surgery for hair regrowth. And we had to. So try not to give you direct examples in the supplement space because we have a lot of clients in that space right now. And we want to give away their money-making campaigns. But it's similar. Anything to do with health really just falls into the same rules, if you will. You have to be vague about what you're doing most of the time. And so anyway, with that said, it could help to add the studies, links to the studies. If you link to the studies, though, as long as you link to a study that shows that particular ingredient works, not the whole product itself and the whole formulation itself, you usually will get by. Whereas with Facebook, it has to show the whole product as a whole, how well it works or how effective it is. If you're going to make any kind of claims on that landing page about how, its effectiveness level and how much it can actually help the user. The easy way to get by with things is to say that this will recolor your hair, not it'll recolor your hair in 30 days, because if you say 30 days, that's the time they're going to require you to link to the study. So if you want to get away from that, then you don't. The problem is, though, if you're vague, your conversion rates aren't going to be the same. People like specifics, and if you use specifics, they believe it more. Anyway, with that said, that is Google as a whole. Okay, now I didn't mention Google search ads. Google search ads, usually you're fine as long as you're not in a mainstream niche like weight loss again. You can say that it fixes a problem. You can even say it'll fix your problem in this much time or this much level and get it approved. Whereas on a YouTube ad, you can't do that, unfortunately. So that's the kind of the deal with Google. Now, when you're talking about Microsoft now, going into that next, the ads can have health benefits in it on Bing search and on your ads themselves. But with Microsoft, the landing pages, they're super strict with the landing pages and what you can do with that. You can't use any zoomed in body parts. You can't use any kind of before and afters. You may get it approved today, but when you scale up the campaign, it'll get hit and you won't be able to get it back up until you get them off there, which, you may want to get some short-term money and then, it'll only last so long. But the problem with that is the algorithm that's trying to run your ads, it's all going to learn. You're spending money to have it learn. And then once it starts working and starts taking off, then finally, you're going to have to take off the stuff that made it work. And then what data you built up about what works and what doesn't work, it doesn't apply anymore. And then also with Bing, they want you to link to the studies of showing that particular product works, the active ingredients work and whatnot. And you can make only general claims on your landing pages as well. Nothing specific unless you have a link to a study where you can back that up specifically. So very strict on the landing page when it comes to Microsoft. On Microsoft, if you're selling supplements, because search ads for the most part usually is only going to make you so many sales. The big money is figuring out how to run display ads for your business, i.e. non-search engine ad traffic. And Bing Display Network is very effective. In other words, you get a big bang for your buck for, it's underpriced. It's underpriced attention because so few people even know about Microsoft display ads. I recommend you try it there. Specifically, running ads on AOL.com, Yahoo.com. These are legit websites you can get on for a very low cost per click and don't have the bot traffic on it, which is why you're going to also get it to work. So I recommend you try that out as a side, not just with the search ads, but with the display ads as well, or the audience network as they call it. But you can legitimately just run a display campaign on Microsoft by itself, which if you can get it, I recommend you set up a search campaign with the audience network. If you get that to work on the audience network through the search campaign you have, then set up a standalone display campaign and see if you can get that to help you scale more. That is some basic information about these different ad networks. The main thing is, if you're in a mainstream niche where people abuse selling products in that space a lot, you're going to be able to not say much and have to be super generic about everything. Ad, landing page. Whereas if you're selling something like that hair coloration product that virtually nobody sells anything to do with that, you can get super specific, especially if you have the ability to link to studies to prove this stuff out. As long as you're keeping it off the ad, which by the way, the ad doesn't have to have all those claims on it. Yes, it's nice to get the click-through. You can get higher click-through if you have all the stuff on the ad. But respectively, if your targeting is right and you have a generic ad and a really specific landing page, you can make plenty of money still with that formula. I guess with that said, I wouldn't start a supplement company up today because of how, things are getting more strict over time. But if I am or were, I'm going to be selling something that other people necessarily don't sell. Fairly confident that the way that the review departments are working at these different places is they have specific rules for anything to do with weight loss. They have specific rules to do with anything with hair loss and so forth. So if you don't fit in one of those cookie cutter molds, then they don't know necessarily what to do. And depending on the reviewer itself, if they are just clueless, you'll always fly under the radar. And even if they aren't, you go appeal the decision, you get somebody else who doesn't really know what's going on, and doesn't have strict rules to follow for that particular product, you can also get by, if you will. The other thing that you can always do, by the way, with supplements, is you can get something approved with a benign version, a vague version of what you would really want to say on a landing page, and then add that stuff in back later, like a before and after later, and then have it, you're able to run what you want to run after you got your stuff approved. Now, naturally, that's screwing over the ad networks per se, but if you have no other option to get your campaign going because it doesn't convert it well enough without the before and afters, and that's your only option, well, what do you have to lose at that point in time? So that's something you can consider. But that said, if you get it approved right away and then you change it out, you're going to get a review on these ad networks at right away, 100 a day, 1,000 a day, 10,000 a day. Warranted more resources to look at what you're doing once you serve to be a bigger threat to their audience as a whole. Just because you get it approved today doesn't mean later on it isn't going to get approved again. So if you were going to go with that model, unless you plan on staying at the same ad spend forever, it's not a long-term solution, if you will. But it is obviously available to you. I talked about using info like article-style landers. These ad networks don't necessarily like article-style landers either. If the article has got a bunch of weird claims in it about how it works great to lose 30 pounds in 20 days. So you're not going to necessarily use that to get around things on saying having really specific claims like that. But what it does allow you to do is be vague and then have that article linked to another landing page where you get more specific, and they're not going to scrutinize that secondary landing page. So you can be vague on the first page, and then the second page gets very explicit, and you could think of it just as the cost of doing business. Okay, it costs 30 cents a click to get them to my article lander, and 5% are going to click through or Google my product name, and they're going to get to the landing page. So effectively, I'm going to pay $6 per click to this particular landing page, but this landing page converts at 3%, and I know that they're going to have a lifetime value of X, so it's just a cost of doing business at that point in time. You're just using the article lander as a filter, so to say. This has been actually a technique that TV advertisers did for the longest time. If you wanted to sell vape pens and so on and so forth, they can run TV ads for that without actually saying the vape, and you could actually then drive people to a web page that talked about it. And as long as you got the person, you could say what you are offering without actually using the word vape. And as a result of that, get people still to your landing page and still have a funnel that can work, so to say. In that situation, with TV ads, it wouldn't necessarily work for too many products. It would have to be something that can be sold to a lot of people. This is not a new concept per se, is what I'm saying. Yeah, I think that's basically everything I could tell you about marketing supplements on these different ad networks. Set up one, know that it can go down at any time. Use any money you have to set up another and another and another on different ad networks. Get as many traffic sources as possible, including affiliate, getting that going. That's the key to having a successful supplement business and selling supplements. Invest in certification, legit script, other places. Why? Because it's going to be able to get you approval easier the more of that you have. Even if it's not legit script and it's just a third-party authority, like in the CBD space, there's different organizations that do testing just for that specifically by itself. And then if you provide that on your landing page, that can actually help you get approved just by having a link to that, like I said before, indicating that there's no other adulterants in there. So the only thing that's in there is CBD, and you got the study for the CBD that you're linking to. So therefore, that product should inherit, the data on the study for yourself, even though you didn't run that study yourself on your exact bottle of whatever you have to market in that supplement product as a whole. And CBD, you cannot run ads on Microsoft now, but Google opened that up so you can market on there. You need a legit script certification, which goes in with what I said there. But at the end of the day, I'll end this video by saying, if it were easy, you'd have a lot more competition. So at the end of the day, you can look at this being, these ad networks being super picky as a good or a bad thing. I'm gonna like it once I go through the hassle of, on each one of these ad networks, figuring out exactly what I need to do to get up to that line that's gonna be highly converting for my users, or to have a highly converting campaign and landing page, but not crossing the line to what's not allowed, and do that by network. Once I've done all that work, my competition isn't going to be able to compete with me very easily, because they're probably not going to want to go through all that work to have something that will get approved and will run. So I've got the market to myself at that point in time. It's just going to be hell to actually get it to that point on each network. It's a lot of work, and it'll be ongoing work until you've scaled that campaign up to where you're spending thousands a day because of the different levels of the different review process. You can start, saying what you want to say, so to say, and get all the certifications, putting those on your campaigns and your landing pages. Get disapproved, go ask support what to change, take off, try to get approved. That doesn't do it, then go through that process again, and eventually you'll have something that will run, at least for a while, until you get to the next level of scrutiny with these ad networks, and then you have to do the same thing again. At the end of the process, though, you'll have something that's up to the limit, but not crossing that line, like I just talked about. And you have to do that, because if you right away go super conservative, your page is not going to convert, your campaign's not going to convert either, right? You got to be up to that limit, because your competition otherwise is going to have something that's just as good as you, and you're not going to be able to make that work, so to say, or you're going to be too far and you're going to get disapproved. So anyway, that's the main thing I can tell you about advertising supplements itself, and the main things to know about it, how the platforms themselves are. As the last thing, I didn't know if I would mention. I mentioned on YouTube itself, on the ads, they're super picky. The landing pages, they're not picky though, specifically on that. If I didn't say that earlier in my video, YouTube is huge anymore for getting results, because you can hyper-target people on that platform so easily. If somebody's looking how to recolor their hair, you can have your hair recoloring offer there for them. It's just what you say on that video needs to be, there can't be any specific claims unless you have the scientific proof to back it up already, and you've got a study or something that says that your product works, and then they'll let you do it, but only then. So with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. If your goal is to make millions of dollars a year running ads for your business, this is the channel I promise you want to subscribe to, as the information I'm giving you on this channel is coming from somebody who spends 40 hours a week doing ad testing and strategy for dozens of different ad accounts to constantly keep abreast of the latest and greatest things that work. That's totally unique in that 99% of the information you find online is from people who don't run ads as their full-time job. They're making money off of advertising revenue or selling courses, pretending like they run ads, and they actually don't really run ads. So it's bullshit information. It's not going to help you legitimately. I just have this YouTube channel on the side to actually share what works. And that's not making money off of YouTube directly through the advertising or any of that. So you should subscribe to this channel, and you should subscribe now if you're serious about making money online, running ads for your business, and learning how to do it. You can also find my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog, where I have specific advice, specific strategies that work to get results time and time again for the companies that use them, and which are our go-to strategies for our clients to guarantee their results. Our agency has to guarantee results for our clients to get paid. What we use to actually guarantee results for a client is on that blog, and you can literally copy and paste those strategies because there's step-by-step advice with screenshots, with the whole shebang there that you can use on your own account to get the same results for yourself, which is why we list them there. So if you like the channel, I promise you're going to like the blog, and you're most likely going to like it even more because it has even better information on there, and you should check that out as well. If you like what you're hearing, but you don't like to do all the work to go through, like even what I talked about today with the review process, and given what I said that we have in special in with these ad networks, because we spend so much money, we spend millions of dollars a month in ad spend, and can get more specific advice on what to specifically change on ads and landing pages to get approved, you can reach out to me at my agency at guaranteedppc.com. We do not charge our clients fees unless we can get them a certain minimum increase in profitability from their ads up front on top of everything else, which no other agency out there does that. I promise you they don't. And if you find one someday, tell me, because I still would like to know anybody else who does this. But if you reach out to me, I'll give you a free assessment and see if we can work together. I don't take on just any client because I want to know I can get results for you if we agree to work together and offer you a guarantee like that. But you won't know unless you reach out to me and get the assessment that you're entitled to. If you reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com, I'm looking forward to hearing from you if you're serious about working with the company long-term and want to get the best results you can, hiring the best company you can. As a side, if you're not looking to work with an ad agency per se, but you want to get great results and you want to shortcut your way to success for your account, we also sell ad templates. We've worked in over 100 niche markets in the last 10 years running this advertising agency, of which, if we've worked in your niche market before, in a different geographic area or different country, you should just buy the template from us that show the ad, the landing page, the campaign template that works for your niche market to get said results that are really good for your market, and just copy and paste whatever we've done into your ad account and get the same results we're getting with none of the work and none of the money and time it took to figure out what works the best in your niche market. At the very least, you should reach out and see if we worked in your niche market, and if so, what numbers we're getting in terms of ROI or cost per lead. Because you'll know right away if you use our template what you stand to gain with it right away. And you're not going to save money trying to figure out all the same stuff for yourself. So you should reach out to us and figure out if we worked in a niche market. We've got people using these templates to basically have a business where it's a turnkey business in a box, if you will. You could take, we have a client selling a product, product A in one country. They want to get into e-commerce, have a product that's a sure thing. They'll sell the same product or a product just like it in country B, take the ads that we had to sell it in country A to use in country B, and they have turnkey profits in country B. We've got tons of those opportunities like that at our agency because we've worked in so many different niche markets. If you're going to start a business from scratch and you don't know much about like e-commerce, that's the easiest way to get into it, selling something that's a sure bet like that. Or if you want to get into a new business, you want a passive income business, the best passive income business that I can think of is still selling leads. We've got a template that you can be able to use that generates leads at a certain cost, of which you could literally go to people in that same niche and say, how much would you buy leads from me for? And turn on that campaign, generate those leads at that cost, and be a lead vendor. It's a very good, and once the campaigns are set up, there's nothing to do. The lead gets automatically forwarded on to the person who buys it, and you're done. We got several people that use our templates just for that. Anyway, if you're interested in any of those other opportunities, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. But with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching again, and I'll see you on the next one.